Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera semua. Kita tunggu lagi dua minit lagi ya. Okey. Baik. Selamat datang semua ya. Baik. Selamat datang kepada semua pensyarah, para peserta, pensyarah-pensyarah daripada Ipg Kampus Bahasa Melayu. Selamat datang juga kepada pensyarah-pensyarah luar yang sudi bersama-sama kami pada pagi ini. Dan juga bersama-sama kita dalam sesi perkongsian ilmu metodologi penyelidikan antara Institut Pendidikan Guru Kampus Bahasa Melayu dan Universiti Malaya, ialah pelajar-pelajar daripada semester 8 dan juga semester 6 yang bersama-sama kita pada pagi ini dalam channel YouTube live Ipg Kampus Bahasa Melayu. Baik, saya Juwairiah Marjonet mewakili pentadbir pengarah Timbalan pengarah Ipg Kampus Bahasa Melayu mengalu-alukan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan semua atas kesediaan bersama-sama kami dalam sesi perkongsian ilmu pada pagi ini. Baik. Juga tidak ketinggalan ribuan terima kasih dan selamat datang diucapkan kepada Profesor Madya, Dr. Thirunaukasaru Subramaniam, Timbalan Dekan, Penyelidikan dan Pembangunan, Fakulti Sastera dan Sains, Sains Sosial Universiti Malaya. Jadi kepada Dr. Thiru, selamat datang dan kami sangat-sangat berbesar hati atas kesediaan doktor untuk sama-sama berkongsi ilmu kita dengan kami warga Ipg Kampus keseluruhannya. Jadi semoga diharapkan sesi perkongsian ilmu kita pada pagi ini dapat kita manfaatkan dengan semaksimal mungkin. Kerana kesudian Dr. Thiru untuk bersama-sama kami adalah saat yang paling berharga lah dalam sesi perkongsian ilmu antara warga KPM ini. Okey, jadi nampaknya Dr. Thiru, mungkin Dr. Thiru sudah bersedia ya Doktor? Baik, tanpa melengah-lengahkan masa lagi, dengan segala hormat dan berbesar hati dijemput Profesor Madya, Dr. Thirunaukasaru Subramaniam, Timbalan Dekan, Penyelidikan dan Pembangunan, Fakulti Sastera dan Sains Sosial Universiti Malaya untuk sesi perkongsian ilmu kita pada pagi ini dengan tajuk Metodologi Penyelidikan. Dipersilakan Doktor.
Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera kepada semua. Okey. Wah, ramai. Berapa orang yang ada di sini ya? How many do we have?
Ya, kita ada pensyarah hampir dekat sini hampir 60 orang. Kita mungkin jangkaan kita dalam 100 pensyarah. Dan pelajar kita ada 100 lebih lah Doktor dalam YouTube live ini.
Okay.
Hello Juwaria. Assalamualaikum. Kita tak nampak apa-apa ya.
Nanti Dr. Thiru sedang present, sedang membuat present.
Okay, thank you.
Tak nampak apa tu
Gelap, skrin hitam, kosong semua gelap.
Oh, kosong. Okey, sekejap ya, saya ni balik.
Nanti.
Di sini dia cakap I'm presenting. Sekejap saya buka balik.
Barulah nampak doktor. Thank you.
Nampak saya, muka saya kata apa yang saya present?
Tak, nampak doktor handsome ni. Ceria pagi ni. Okay, welcome.
Sekejap ya. Trying to see where's my slide, PowerPoint slide. Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay Doktor, tak apa, take time Doktor.
Apa tu?
Take time.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
So, gosh. Can you see the slide?
Belum Doktor.
Belum lagi ya?
Belum.
Oh gosh. Masalah dia.
Kalau
Sekejap ya.
tuan-tuan, okey.
Sekejap. I think nampak sekarang?
Belum tak belum. Okey, sudah nampak.
Boleh ya? Boleh kan?
Belum.
Dia
Boleh
keluar
Doktor.
slide
Boleh.
research methodology. Do you see that?
Ya, Doktor, yes.
Okay, let me start. Okay, saya rasa saya boleh mulakan. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera kepada semua. Pertama sekali, saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Institut Pendidikan Guru, Kampus Bahasa Melayu.
Ya, betul Dok.
Okey terima kasih kerana memberi jemputan kepada saya untuk menyampaikan seminar inilah. Okey, so saya akan jadikan ini sebagai perkongsian dua bahasa, bahasa Melayu dan juga bahasa Inggeris ya. So that I think it'll be easier lah. And I see there are a number of familiar faces. Ada muka macam pernah nampak tapi tak ingat kat mana. Some of the faces look so familiar to me But I don't know where I met you all I would have met or probably ada yang pernah jadi saya punya pelajar di UMS ke, saya pun tak pasti Maybe di UM ke atau UMS, I'm not sure, okay? Because I used to teach in UMS in the 1990s, 1990-an Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go straight into our lecture today. So I'm going to go into firstly on various definition dahulu lah because our bengkel ni berikan nama sebagai research methodology tapi saya akan emphasize lebih kepada aspek kuantitatif okay, dan as we go along kalau ada apa-apa persoalan yang nak dikemukakan tentang qualitative especially kaedah mixed method dan sebagainya, okay, which combines qualitative and quantitative, we can always do that lah. If you have any question, you can always ask me. Because I do give this lecture di fakulti kami on mixed methods and things like that Okay, so kalau kita lihat slide yang saya sediakan di sini, saya mulakan dengan konsep apa yang dimaksudkan sebagai statistics, okay. So statistics actually the core of the whole research methodology So apa-apa yang kita buat semuanya berkaitan dengan statistics lah In fact, research methodology is the largest chunk. On one hand, of course, you got your research design and things like that, but you need that statistics, otherwise you wouldn't have a result, right? It could be a quantitative result or qualitative result, and that's where you're going to basically draw your conclusion and basically tie back to your objective of the research, So sangat-sangat penting statistik ini cuma berbeza kepada kaedah analisis. Mungkin kalau kita gunakan data yang berbentuk kuantitatif, kita boleh gunakan beberapa perisian seperti SPSS, either E-view, Stata dan sebagainya untuk membuat analisis. And then if you are using a qualitative approach, of course you can use some other software such as NVivo, or you can also do manually manually pun boleh buat, ataupun kita gunakan apa yang dipanggil sebagai thematic analysis manual thematic analysis pun boleh buat juga So somebody say gelap tu, apa yang gelap tu?
Screen back to normal. Okay, now we can see.
Can see
Okay, good already.
Okay, because I know why. Because saya nak tengok muka kamu semua. Bila saya tengok muka kamu semua, dia jadi gelap. Bila saya balik dekat PowerPoint, boleh nampak. Boleh kan?
Boleh. Doktor boleh tukar pada slideshow ke?
Slideshow, you want slideshow. Okay, let me see how to go slideshow. But this one doesn't work, when I go into slideshow, I have a bit of...
Okay, then it's okay.
I think I'll just maintain this, Okay, let's go into straight into the definition of what is meant by statistics, if it is a face-to-face class, what I will do, I'll just shut off the slide and I'll ask my student to give feedback dahulu. Okay, I'll just ask them to give a feedback, and then normally the common answer that they will say when I ask what is statistics, they say data, angka, that's what they say. But if you look at the definition given here, it says it's actually a science of conducting studies, which actually starts with data collection. Okay, you collect data, means to say you must have some instrument basically to collect your data. Okay, of course, when you say instrument, one of the commonly used instrument is actually your questionnaire. Yeah? And then, of course, you have other method as well, such as observation. Observation, you observe, and that basically will give you a qualitative data. And then you can also do a personal interview, for example, yeah, and that will give you a qualitative data as well. And subsequently, what we do after collecting the data, you do a bit of organizing the data, yeah. And then finally, you do a summary. Summary basically, the easiest we do is actually computing the mean, median, and mode, for example, yeah. So these are the summary that you do, and then you analyze, and finally you draw conclusion from the data. In fact, when you say statistics, it encompasses the whole idea of research methodology. Yeah. Okay. When you say statistics itself, it encompasses the whole idea of research methodology. Yeah. So that's what meant by statistics. Okay. Yang kedua, the second one will look into what is variable. Variable. Again, variable. It says here it's a characteristics or attribute that can assume different value. So of course, when you say variable, you've got quantitative as well as qualitative variable. If I say gender, male and female, it should be a qualitative variable. And when I say height, for example, ketinggian, okay, it's a quantitative variable, yeah? Okay, and then the third section of this, basically, you have to know what is descriptive and what is inferential statistics. Okay, for this, I'm going to ask you to give me some feedback. Siapa boleh jelaskan what is meant by descriptive and inferential? Would you have any idea? Ada yang nak try tak? Nak cuba? Apa beza descriptive and inferential statistics? Anyone? Sangat-sangat penting sebab bila kita katakan descriptive statistics, it actually deals with the populasi, and inferential statistics deals with the sample. So apa yang kita buat selalu dalam kita punya kajian-kajian yang kita buat, we are dealing with inferential statistics, iaitu sample. So maklumat-maklumat yang kita peroleh daripada sampel itu yang kita generalisasikan kepada kita punya populasi, ya. Okey, kita akan generalisasikan kepada populasi. Maklumat daripada sampel kita generalize to the population. Okay, the information that you collected from your sample, you generalize to the population. And that is called inferential statistics. Whereas your descriptive statistics is basically when it actually deals with the population. For example, kalau kita katakan census, Malaysian census, ya, Banci Malaysia. So itu adalah contoh data descriptive, ya, descriptive. It describes. Whereas when you say inferential, you get it from your sample. Itu adalah perbezaan yang sangat-sangat ketara antara the concept of the descriptive as well as inferential statistics, yeah. Okay, and then of course your descriptive statistics will give you what is known as the measures given. It's called a parameter. And then your inferential statistics give you a measure known as a sample, yeah? And then we go to the fourth definition over here. It says population versus sample. Okay, as we can see from the slide, it says here, population is actually the whole thing, yeah? I just use a simple word, whole thing. A population consists of all subjects that are being studied. If I say, students of Universiti Malaya, that is actually a population, yeah, population. And the sample is actually a subset of the population, iaitu kita katakan it's a sebahagian kecil daripada populasi, itu adalah sampel kamu. So I'll give you a simple example. Saya berikan satu contoh yang mudah. Mungkin kita boleh lihat macam I want to study about smoking behavior among say smoking behavior among students, okay? Smoking behavior among students, okay? So what I can do, okay, taking for example, you have a university with 10 different faculty. So I can take students, say, 10% from every faculty. Faculty A, 10%, faculty B, 10%, faculty C, 10%, faculty D, 10%, faculty E, 10%. 10%, assuming there are, say, 1,000 students in every faculty. Yeah, I'm just making things easier for you to understand. So faculty A, you will get 10% of 1,000, you get 100. Faculty B, 10% of 1,000, you get another 100. So faculty C, you get 100. Faculty D, 100. Faculty E, 100. So 100, 100, 100, you get 500. So these are your sample. Yeah, the sample is 500, but your population is actually the total 1,000 from every faculty, which is actually 5,000. So you see, on one hand, you have a sample which is actually 500. On the other hand, you have a population which is actually 5,000. Why do we need to do the sampling? Because you as a researcher, you're going to face with a lot of constraints, right? Kita ada banyak kekangan dia. Kekangan banyak. For example, financially you're constrained, time constraint, and things like that. So that's the very reason why you need to do the sampling, yeah? So it's important, okay, to do sampling, okay? Because of various constraints that you are facing with, yeah? Okay, so that's population versus sample. I'll go into a bit more on sample. How do you basically do your sampling process, yeah, or sampling procedure? Okay, the subsequent one, okay, I'm going to go into data collection. Of course, you have various type of data collection. You have qualitative as well as quantitative. If you say quantitative, normally we use a questionnaire. Questionnaire can be administered in many ways. And then you have an observation method, and then you have a personal interview, or even key informant interview. All those, yeah, can come as various ways of collecting data. Okay, and then I'll go into sampling. Sampling, basically, we can divide into two bigger group. The first one, what we call as probability sampling, and the other one is non-probability sampling. Yeah, okay. Now, let me get into the idea of probability sampling first. So under that, you're going to have simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, and cluster sampling. I'll just take a simple random sampling first. Very easy. So let us use the earlier example that I gave. Contoh yang saya berikan Daud tadi, ya. Okay, kita boleh gunakan contoh itu. Okay. Contoh yang saya berikan tadi, I say faculty A got 1,000 students, but we are taking only 100. Faculty B got another 1,000, we are taking another 100. Faculty C, 1,000 students, you take 100. Faculty D, you got 1,000 students, you take 100. Faculty E, 1,000 students, you get 100. So your sample is 500 now out of a total of population is actually 5,000. Okay, now, how do you go into that? So there are many ways of doing it. The easiest one is actually called simple random sampling, which uses this one. This is called a table of random number. Okay, so kalau kita lihat ini dipanggil sebagai table of random number. Okay, you can just pick up one number here at any point. Okay, katakan this one. I'm choosing number 30. Okay, katakan saya ambil number 41. 41 is basically adalah column here, the second column here. 79, first column, downward 41. Okay, say I pick up 41. So what I will do, I'll take the next number, which is 52. After that, after 41 is 52. After 52, it's 13. After 13 is 82. After 82, I go to 57. So I go to the master list of the faculty. Yeah, master list of the faculty. And then I pick up, maybe the names has already been arranged according to alphabetical order. So I just pick up respondent number 52 as my respondent, 13 as my respondent, 82 as my respondent, 57 as my respondent, 12 as my respondent, 27, 75, 95. Okay, so I will just go on until I get the desired sample size. So in the example that I'm giving you, I need about 100, 100, yeah. So I'll just do until I get 100. Okay, so the question is now, I got table of random numbers that I have here is 2 digit. I can also generate a table random numbers of 3 digit. 3 digit pun boleh, ya. 3 digit you will require that when you have more than 100 samples. Okay, if less than 100 samples, 2 digit is sufficient. Okay. Okay, yeah. So that is on probability sampling. Probability sampling, the easiest you can do is actually simple random sampling using the table of random numbers. Yeah. Of course, you have other type of sampling such as systematic sampling. You just maintain a system. For example, I'm going to take 10th respondent from that list, 20th, 30th, 40th, 50th, 60th, and so on. Yeah. And stratified sampling, we actually use some criterion to basically do the stratification. The common ones that we use normally are educational level. You group them into group A, maybe those with degree, group B, those with secondary education, and group C, primary education. Then you pick up from those three groups. Yeah, that is called stratified sampling. So these are some of the sampling method that you can use under probability sampling. So now it's so easy. You can just go to YouTube and learn all this stuff. Okay, just choose whatever that you want, and then you can actually learn from there. Okay, now we go into the eighth part, which is actually on non-probability sampling. Okay, non-probability sampling, we have snowball and accidental and purposive sampling. Okay, katakan you want to study about AIDS, or even about drug addiction and so on, and probably the best would be snowball sampling. I believe you all would have an idea what snowball sampling is, right? Okay, snowball sampling basically means katakan okay, you go normally people who has AIDS, AIDS, gejala AIDS, yeah. So katakan kamu kenal the first person, you got to know the first person. What will happen? The first person will actually refer you to the second person. The second person will refer you to the third person. The third person will refer you to the fourth person. That's how you do your snowball sampling. But then you always have to remember it's a non-probability sampling method. Means anybody can become your sample. So the chances of one to be selected as a sample is actually 0. While in probability sampling, the chances of one to be selected as a sample is actually equal. If I have 100, so 100 respondents, so the chances of everyone to be included as a sample is actually 1 over 100. Whereas in non-probability sampling, it's actually 0. Tak ada. Anybody can become your sample as long as they fulfill certain criteria. Okay. Okay. Now, any questions so far? Ada tak soalan nak tanya? Any question?
Semua tak ada, Doktor.
Ya, tak ada ya?
Tak ada. Okay.
Dr. Tan, Miss Tan or Dr. Tan or Puan Tan?
Miss Tan.
Okay, so far okay, yeah? Okay, what I've done, I've actually I got SPSS, which I'm going to go through with you in a while. I'll go through that as well. I don't know whether you have learned factor analysis. Do you know what factor analysis is? Pernah belajar tak? And I'll show one of the paper that I published using factor analysis. Ya, sekejap lagi. Saya akan tunjukkan satu kertas yang saya pernah publish dalam quite a good journal, Asia Pacific Education Review, which is actually whatever it is related to you all. When you say education review, so maybe that will be of use for you. I'll share the paper in a while. Yeah, okay. Because that's one of the paper that's actually very high. We have been receiving a lot of citation from that paper. A very well referred paper. Okay, so now let's go on. Okay, I'm going to go into this one, which is actually your next part will be actually this one. Oh, research methodology. Sorry, my spelling is incorrect over there. Okay. When you do a research methodology section, that's because I understand that you got a lot of lecturers who's doing their PhD, right? Or even your masters or whatever. Okay, if you're doing that, then this is going to be a very, very significant component of your research. Yeah, research methodology. In fact, the success of the whole dissertation writing or thesis writing is actually dependent on this thing, on this section called research methodology. So I'm just going to go through 4 different items that's required in a research methodology section, yeah. Okay, yang pertama, the first one, basically, you need to have your sampling frame. So when I say sampling frame, is actually the set of source materials from which the sample is selected. Where do you get your sample from? Okay, okay, that's the one, yeah. Okay. Maaf ya, maaf. Okay. Apologies. Okay, so the first one is your sampling frame, is actually the set of source material from which the sample is selected. That's one. The second one, sampling method. Sampling method. When you say method, of course, study either you use a probabilistic sampling or non-probabilistic sampling. Okay, so that one you have to be really, really clear. So if you know your population, then you go for probability sampling. If you don't know your population, you go for non-probability sampling. So that's the difference, yeah? Okay, under sampling, yeah? Okay, and then if you know your population, you go for probability. If you don't know your population, you go for non-probability. And then you have what is known as unit of analysis. So normally there are several types of unit of analysis that you can do. The first one is at individual level. Okay. For example, I just want to study about shopping behavior of Malay female. Shopping behavior of Malay female, so the unit of analysis will be the Malay female, kan? Itu one example. And then if I say I want to study about household expenditure pattern among Malaysian. So the unit of analysis will actually change into what is known as a household, where you will be basically interviewing or, you know, talking to a head of the household. So your unit of analysis changes. Or it could be a firm level data, firm level, yeah, peringkat firma, firm. And finally, it could be a country level data also. We can use a country level data. Right now, you see a lot of people write papers on COVID-19 vaccine. They have to use country level data, because this country level data is much more readily available, yeah? Okay. And then the next one is actually your sample size. How big is the required sample size? I don't know whether you have heard of this table called Crecci and Morgan table. Pernah dengar tak? So that table can be used to basically to derive your sample size. Okay, that's one way, yeah? You can actually use that Crecci and Morgan table, okay, to derive your sample size. How big is the sample size that's required, yeah? So itu adalah on sampling method. And the third one, you have data collection method. What will be your data collection method? As I mentioned, the common ones is actually use of questionnaire, okay? Okay, and then you have probably observation as another method. And then personal interview, which actually encompasses key informant interview as well as in-depth interview. These are the common ones, yeah? Even right now, you know, the trend is because of COVID, you can't go out and meet your respondents or informant. So we tend to do online interview via Google Meet or via WhatsApp or whatever. It's still acceptable, yeah? Okay. Ataupun kita berikan Google form, for example. I have all my undergraduate students, yeah, they came to a point where mereka perlu guna Google form, yeah. We still accept that, yeah. We still accept that, okay. Google form is acceptable, yeah. But always remember, I don't know whether how aware are you about this, apa yang kita panggil sebagai ethics clearance. So the need for you to do your ethics clearance is very, very important as well, because in our institution, what we do is that every student, especially when you're doing a master's research, PhD research, you're required to get an ethics clearance, yeah? Okay, because anything that deals with the human subject requires an ethics clearance. So perlu kita dapatkan itu sebelum the student can actually, or the candidate can actually embark on a research, yeah? So this is another thing. Okay, next, the last part is actually data analysis method. It's also good for you to include this section called data analysis method, how your data that you have collected will be analyzed. Again, you can use two approaches. One is qualitative and the other one is quantitative. When you say quantitative, which I'm going to go into that in a while, okay, for example, the easiest one that we can use is actually correlation, yeah, correlation. And if you go one step further, you can actually do what is known as regression or chi-square analysis or analysis of variant or even factor analysis. Okay, there are so many things that can be done, SEM, structural equation modeling, and things like that. And recently, I've been learning this called quantile regression, yeah, something very interesting. I learned on my own, quantile regression. That's another thing, yeah, data analysis method. Those are for quantitative. And then you have some for qualitative. Qualitative, basically, we go via what is known as thematic analysis, yeah, thematic analysis. There's also a lot of literature on that, on thematic analysis, yeah, when you're doing a qualitative research. In fact, I had one of my master's students just completed his master's using this thematic method to analyze data. He just took about 30 informant and he did a thematic analysis of various aspects that relate to various aspects that relate to international student. Okay, so remember, when you talk about research methodology, you need all these 4 sections, yeah. When you're writing your research methodology chapter, you'll require all these things, yeah. Okay, now 1 minute break. Any question you have? Ada soalan tak? Are you enjoying the class or am I?
Enjoy, Doktor. Mungkin akhir Q question sesi soal jawab nanti kot. Dia simpan soalan, Doktor.
Okay. Okay,
Alright.
they're keeping. Okay. 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 So we'll go on. So I'm going to go into this one. I'll just start with the hypothesis testing, since we are going to give more emphasis on quantitative, and in between I'll also touch about qualitative lah. Okay, qualitative. Okay, let's go into this what is known as hypothesis testing atau pengujian hypothesis. Okay, what is a hypothesis testing? It's actually a statistical hypothesis is a conjecture about population parameter, and this conjecture may or may not be true. So it is just a guess, just like a guess, yeah? You do a guess, yeah? That is your hypothesis. But always remember, where do you get your hypothesis from? That's very important. Where do we get our hypothesis from that you're going to test? So the hypothesis basically comes from your literature review. Okay? So that's why it's very important for you to basically do an extensive literature review when you do your research. Yeah, when you do your research, you will get an idea on your hypothesis. Okay, someone would have found something in their study and you want to basically test whether that particular hypothesis holds in your study. Okay, for example, kita katakan semua pelajar perempuan rajin, all female students are hardworking, and maybe you want to test that in your study. So that can become a basis for your hypothesis in your study. Yeah. So that's how you get your hypothesis done. Yeah. Okay. So look at this. I've given a few steps first. We go into steps. Steps in hypothesis testing. You have the first one, stating the hypothesis and basically identifying the claim. Finding the second one, finding the critical value from appropriate statistical table, computing the test value. So the C section here, which says compute the test value, which is actually we are going to learn today, because we got a very useful software that will be able to compute this test value. When I was doing my studies in the university, we have to go for all that traditional way of calculating using using calculator. But now you see, you got all the very high powered statistical software such as SPSS, where you can even put thousands and thousands of data within a click of mouse, you get your result. Yeah. So that's how the C section is done. Compute the test value. Okay. And then D, making the decision to reject or not to reject the null hypothesis, and finally summarizing the results. Yeah. So these are the steps that's involved in hypothesis testing. Okay, I'm going to go into one example, a simple example on sociology, basically to show you how to write a hypothesis. Yeah. Okay, it says here a sociologist wishes to see if it is true that for a certain group of professional women, the average age at which they have their first child is 28.6. A random sample of 36 women is selected and their ages at the birth of their first children are recorded at alpha 0.05. That this evidence refute the sociologist's assertion. So step one, you put your hypothesis. So it says here your mean is actually equal to 28.6. I got it from Blumen, one of the elementary statistics book. Yeah. Okay, that's one way. Okay, second one, look at this. A high school counselor wishes to see if the average number of dropout in his school is 21. So you see the keyword there is actually 21. So that's how you have your null hypothesis. Null hypothesis, your mean is equals to 21. And then your alternative hypothesis, which is your H1, mu is not equal to 21. So this is important for you to basically identify your hypothesis before you do your test. Okay. Hypothesis is very important. Yeah. So where do you get your hypothesis? Again, I said you can actually get it from your literature review from previous studies. That's the very reason we are doing an extensive literature review at a master's and a PhD level. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the most important part is this. Okay. Look at this. This is a section that we have here. We call it as parametric versus non-parametric test. Okay, so a lot of people get mixed up with this. Okay, sometimes you know, you don't know why you're using you're doing some certain tests, parametric and non-parametric. Yeah, so sometimes you mix up both. Can you do that and things like that? Yeah. Okay, let's go into the detail of this. The first one, it says here parametric test. Yeah, you have Z test, T test, and F test. Okay, the key over here is actually looking at the assumption that the populations are normally distributed. Yeah, the populations are normally distributed. So this is very important, yeah, because you can actually do this test using SPSS to check whether your population is normally distributed or not. Yeah, you can do a test actually. Yeah, when you find a result where your population is not normally distributed, then you go for non-parametric tests. Okay, some of the non-parametric tests that we can do is actually as given here, the sign test, Wilcoxon, and then Kruskal-Wallis, as well as we can also use chi-square test, yeah, because these all fulfill the assumption of non-normality. Okay, boleh ya? Okay, so now how do we test for normality? Okay, let me go into the SPSS now. Okay, let me ask you one question. Do you know how to do a normality test using SPSS? Tahu tak? Anybody? Have you learned that before? Puan Fatimah?
Ada doktor.
Puan Fatimah Biwi. Pernah belajar tak?
Dia tu doktor.
Yes, doctor, we learned, but many years ago.
Oh, okay, you would have forgotten. So it's good for me to refresh, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
I need
let me just
refreshment.
do a quick one. Quick one, yeah? Okay, I'll just share my SPSS data here. Okay, let me just share this. Okay, I'm going to go into this quick one sekejap, ya. Okay. Do you see the data here? Ada nampak?
Yeah.
Okay, ada nampak ya? Okay, so the data, this is, I'm using SPSS version 27, that's the latest one that we have here. I'm just going to just show you one brief, this thing, how to do what your test for normality, yeah? So you just go to analyze, then you go to descriptive, and then you just go to explore here, okay? So what you do, you can, let me just put these two and show you how it looks like, these two. Saya masukkan dalam dependent list, and I just go to plot, and I just pick up this one, yeah, normality plot with test. So look at this, what I get. Do you see a result here? Yeah, it's coming out. Why?
Ancient.
Ancient. Okay, just look at this. Tengok ni. This test for normality, nampak tak? There are two tests given here. One is called Kolmogorov-Smirnov dengan Shapiro-Wilk. These are the common tests that we do. But Shapiro-Wilk is the test that we normally use for smaller sample, yeah? Large sample, we go for Kolmogorov-Smirnov. So the cutoff is normally like 2000. Anything above 2000, you go for Kolmogorov-Smirnov, and then Shapiro-Wilk kalau kurang daripada 2000, yeah? Lesser than 2000. So now, look at this. What does this tells you? Okay? So basically, there are two things. If your p-value is above 0.05,
we can't see the analysis.
oh, you don't know?
Yeah, we can only see the data.
Oh, still on the data. Oh gosh. Oh, the result is out already. Oh, belum keluar ya? Now, can you see?
No, it's not out yet.
Okay, belum keluar lagi. Oh gosh. Or maybe I have one example here in the slide. Okay, so if you look at the slide, can you see the slide here? Is there a PowerPoint slide?
No.
No, doctor, still at the data.
Oh, still at the data. Sekejap ya. Saya unshare ya. Okay. So this is how it look like. Can you see this now? Test for normality.
Yes.
Okay. Easy. So look at this. So this is actually my PhD student's data. He graduated last year already. I just borrowed his data because he was studying about social well-being and economic well-being of Bangladeshi migrant workers in Malaysia in construction sector. So basically, if you look at this, when you do that test of normality, you got two results here. One is Kolmogorov-Smirnov and the other one is Shapiro-Wilk. Okay. So that when you have a large sample size more than 2000, then you go for Kolmogorov-Smirnov lah. But you have a smaller sample size below 2000, you go for Shapiro-Wilk. So what basically this shows is when you get a value of significance which is 0.0000, basically is an indication that your data is not normally distributed. Yeah, not normally distributed. If your data is normally distributed, then you get a value which is above 0.05. But this one all lower than 0.05. Yeah, so just take it as that. Okay, now what is the consequence of this? This is more important. So when you have a result which is not normally distributed, so what we normally do, we go for a non-parametric test. Okay, I repeat again. If you get a result which is not normally distributed, you go for a non-parametric test. Whereas if you get a result which is normally distributed, then you go for parametric test. Boleh dapat tak? I hope you can get that two idea. Non-parametric, it's because your data is not normal. Parametric when your data is normally distributed. Yeah? Okay, so now I'll go into this first, chi-square goodness of fit test. This is actually an example of non-parametric. Non-parametric, yeah, because when you look at the distribution itself, it's already skewed, yeah. Dia pencong, yeah, skewed. Okay, skewed to the right when you draw it. Okay, so chi-square goodness of fit test. Basically, you got here assumptions. There are two assumptions. The data are obtained from a random sample, and the expected frequency for each category must be 5 or more. Okay, so if you look at this, this is how it looks like. Yeah, this is how it looks like if you're doing manually. Manually, you can do manual calculation, but now you can actually use SPSS and do the same. Yeah, so you can do the same. So what basically will happen is, once you have your data, so you can go into that analysis section. For example, tengok sekejap ya. Okay, hold on. Let me just check how to go into that. Okay, I'll go into this. Okay, I think I'll go to. What do you see now? Do you see a set of data?
No, doctor.
Belum. Sekejap ya. Sekejap. I share again. Okay. I'm going to share. Okay, this one. Do you see the data now?
Yeah.
Okay ya. Okay. Kalau dah nampak data ni boleh ya. Kita cuba lihat. How do we go for analyze? Okay, I'm going to go into. Okay. Okay, normally you do a frequency first lah. Ini tahu kan semua. You do a frequency test. You can just click into this and basically you can see, you know, if there are any irregularity with the data and things like that lah. Okay. Okay, come. Let's go into. Okay, maybe I'll just combine education as. I'm going to go look into sekejap ya. Two variable. The first one, I'm going to take education. Oh, sorry. Yeah, maaf. Go to analyze again, descriptive. I'm going to do a cross tabulation. Okay, so I'm going to take my education one, education level, and then maybe one independent. Okay, maybe okay, and that before migration lah. Oh, sorry. I'll put it over here. Okay, look at this. So I got two variable here. One is education and the other one is that before migration. Whether education level determines the amount of that they had lah. So something like that. So what basically you're going to have is one dependent and independent variable. Basically your independent is actually education, your dependent is that before migration, yeah? So we can actually look into this. Kejap ya. Okay, and then, okay, let us see. What do you see? Do you see anything? Tak keluar. Okay. Do you see this? Ada nampak tak? The result?
Doctor. No.
No? Can you see?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not yet, sir.
Boleh nampak ya? You give me your feedback. If you don't tell me, then I won't know.
Belum datang.
Still the data.
Still the data.
Oh, masih data lagi. Tapi
The data.
my screen already.
Probably if you minimize the data, maybe we could actually see,
Okay. Yes. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Okay. I think every time kena buat share screen ni baru boleh ni. Ya. Okay. There. Now you can see, right? Boleh nampak?
Can.
Perfect, yeah. Can see.
Okay, just look at this. I just had two variables just now, education level and that before migration. So basically, we are going to see like you come up with a hypothesis. You say that education level does not determine that. Okay, that is your null hypothesis. And the alternative is actually the opposite. Yeah, education level determines your that before migration. Okay, so now look at this chi-square test result. What you get over here is 0.144. It says 0.144 basically means you don't reject your null hypothesis, yeah, because it's above 0.05. Yeah, so you don't reject your null hypothesis. When you don't reject your null hypothesis, basically you say that education level actually does not determine your that before migration. Yeah, education level does not determine your that before migration. So that's how it should work lah. Huh? So this is one simple example of a non-parametric test that can be used. Yeah, this is one simple example of non-parametric test. Yeah, so so remember, yeah, when you have a data which is not normally distributed, then you go for a non-parametric test. When you have a data which is normally distributed, then you go for a parametric test. Yeah. So the subsequent analysis, I'll go for parametric test. I'll show how it can be done. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go further. The next one. I go back to the slide again. Okay. So this is how it works. Okay, it starts with the hypothesis testing, as you can see. Can you see the PowerPoint slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now step one, it says stating the hypothesis and identifying the claim. So this is what we do normally. So the best is your null hypothesis, you start with a negative statement lah, or the claim, we call it, yeah. Okay, and then you do your step 2 critical value, step 3 computing. So the one I showed earlier is actually the computation of the test value and basically making a decision whether you reject or you do not reject, or you reject your null hypothesis, and finally you can actually draw a conclusion. Okay, that's one. Okay, and then of course we can also do what is known as ANOVA, analysis of variant, but never mind, I'm going to skip this part here, but I'm going to straight away go to into this correlation. Okay, the correlation, basically you got two types of correlation. One is called Pearson and the other one is Spearman. Okay, so Pearson is when you have a normally distributed data, and Spearman, it's when you have a not normally distributed data. So what does it indicate? The correlation basically indicates the strength, whether it's a strong or a weak relationship, and also the direction of a relationship, whether the relationship is positive or negative. Yeah. So this itself can be a very useful tool in analysis. Yeah. This can be a very useful tool for analysis. Basically, if you look at this diagram, it says here you have your y, which is your independent variable. Sorry, your dependent variable. Y is your dependent variable, and your x is your independent variable. So your x determines your y. Okay. So now let's go into this. Katakan, I'll give you one example. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, if you're having Cgpa of student and time spent on revision. Time spent on revision and Cgpa of student. What is your y and what is your x? Anybody? Anyone want to try? Cgpa of a student and time spent on revision. What is your y, which is your dependent variable, and what is your x, independent variable? Anybody?
Depend.
Cgpa and time spent on revision. Which is your dependent first? Which one is your dependent?
Cgpa is the dependent.
Good, excellent. Cgpa is your dependent and your time spent on revision is your independent, which is your x variable. Yeah, which is x variable. You see, when you have one independent and one dependent, you can actually use the simple tool called correlation analysis. correlation, and basically the indication that you get from the correlation analysis, the first one, as I said, the strength of the relationship. Kuat atau tak kuat. So if you look at these three different diagrams, you get a value of R equals to 0.50 over here. R equals to 0.50 and R equals to 0.90. Between these two, we can say that R equals to 0.50 is actually a moderate relationship. Moderate relationship. And 0.90 is a strong relationship. Yeah. R equals to 1.00, a very strong relationship. So these are the three options that you have. Either it's weak, which is weak, basically probably 0.2, 0.3 like that. You get a value of R equals to 0.2 or 0.3, and moderate 0.5, strong is 0.9, and 1.00 you say that it's a very strong relationship. Okay, so that's one. So you get an indication of the strength of the relationship between two variables. That's first. Secondly, you will get an idea of the direction of the relationship, whether it's a positive relationship or negative relationship. So basically, if you look at the result, you know already, if you get 0.50, it's actually a positive relationship between these two. Means when your X rises, Y's go up as well. X meningkat, Y pun meningkat. Itu adalah hubungan positif. Okay? When you have R equals to 0.50, the sign in front is actually campur, positive. R equals to 0.90, the sign is also positive. So it shows you a direction where you say that it's positive relationship between these two variables, X and Y. Okay, for example, in our example that I gave earlier, I said, the more the student do revision or the more the time students spend on revision, the better will be the Cgpa. Kan? So it's a positive relationship. Yes, it should be a positive relationship. Okay. And then the second one is actually the negative or inverse relationship. You can see at the lower bottom, there are three diagrams over there. Okay. So you see there, again, you can see the strength of the relationship. Okay, the first one is 0.50, but there is a negative sign there. So it indicates that the relationship is actually negative. Means when one increases, the other one decreases. Or one decreases, the other one increases. That's what it shows. Okay, so in the example that I gave, Cgpa and absenteeism, class absence for the student. Normally we see that the more the student don't come for the class, the lower or the higher will be the Cgpa?
Lower.
The lower. So lagi banyak dia tuang kelas, lagi rendah lah dia punya Cgpa. Yeah? So that's what it means. So you will get basically a negative relationship in that sort of analysis. Yeah. Okay. So always remember this correlation, Pearson correlation or Spearman correlation is a very useful tool as well, because it gives you two different type of information or result. The first one is the direction of relationship, whether it's a positive or negative, and then the strength of the relationship. Yeah. So these are the two things. Yeah, I'll go into that in a while. Let us we'll look into that in a while. Okay. Okay, I'll just go into that now. I'll go into that. Okay. So now we go into Pearson correlation using SPSS. Okay, let me go back to this one. Okay, I'm going to go into the data. Okay, so you see this data. I'll just show you how to do a simple correlation. Yeah, correlate, bivariate. Tengok sini, you go to analyze, correlate, and then you go. Can you see the table?
Yeah, we can.
Can okay, good. Okay, so now let's just take these two correlation between maybe. We will try education lah, education with my education. Education is here. I'm going to relate this to job security. Yeah. Normally, if you are better educated, you feel that you are much more secure in terms of your job security. Wait, this one. Okay, tengok sini. Kita ada dua kat sini. Let me try this. Education with job security. Okay, I'm going to go to Pearson. I hope it works. Okay, tengok sini. What do you see? Okay, I don't think you'll be able to see this. I think I have to change my slide, right? Okay, sekejap ya. 1 minute. Okay, just look at this result now. Okay, do you see this correlation result?
Can.
Okay, but look at that. It says education with job security. Look at the significance level. Okay. Significance level is 0.331. Basically, you can see that it's not significant. But anyway, look at the Pearson correlation. Is also very, very weak relationship. Very, very weak relationship, and it's also negative. It's also negative. Look at that. The relation is quite weak actually. Sangat-sangat lemah hubungan tu. Negative 0.066. Actually, it says that even though it's negative, but there is no any kind of correlation between these two variables. So that's what it indicates. It gives you. Okay, I'll do another example later. You'll get a better result. Okay. So this is one Pearson correlation. Okay. The difference between Pearson and Spearman, I recap again. So when you have your data which is normal, then we go for Pearson. Spearman when your data is not normal. Itu beza dua tu. Pearson and Spearman. In fact, it actually appears side by side dalam that analysis menu tadi Okay. Okay. So now go back to our slide again. So now go into this again. Okay, now I'll go into this one. Do you see this? This is an example that I gave you earlier. How we can actually use regression. Look at this. It says, example, education. An educator wants to see how the number of absences of students in her class has effects on the student's final grade. So number of absences and final grade. I'm going to just convert this into that SPSS table, and we'll see how we're going to do the simple analysis. Sekejap ya. Okay, so this is a fresh data editor. Can you see that? I'm going to create two different variables. The first variable I'm going to call it as Cgpa. The second variable I'm going to call it as time spent on revision. The third variable I'm going to call it as absence class. Boleh nampak tak?
Boleh.
Boleh Okay. So you see here you got three different variables, and I'm going to create a Cgpa now. I'm just doing it randomly. Okay. Just to show you that what can be done. Nampak kan? Do you see this? Sebelah ni Time spent on revision. I'm going to give you hours, number of hours that students spend on revision. Okay. and then absences, how many times that they don't come for class. Okay, so look at this. Absence, maybe I'll give like number of times that they were absent for the class. Okay. Okay, so you see these data, right? Okay, I'm just going to go into a quick analysis. Yeah, I'm going to go into a quick analysis now. Okay, so you look at this. I'm going to go to correlate first, and I'm going to do a correlation here between these two. Okay, we'll try Cgpa and time first. Okay, so if you look at the value, I get, when I do a correlation between Cgpa and time, I get 0.935. 0.935. Yeah. 1 minute. Okay, look at this. Do you see this? I get 0.935. So it gives you two indications. One is there is a positive relationship, right?
Yes.
And then the second one, the strength of the relationship, very strong relationship between Cgpa and time. Means to say the more time they spend on revision, the higher will be the Cgpa, right?
Yes.
So itu adalah satu contoh yang boleh kita buat. And then I can also go into a bit more, one more, a small simple analysis. I'm going to take out my time and I'm going to put absence here. Okay. So if you look at, can you see this one, the result, another new result? Between Cgpa and absence. Can you see?
Can.
Okay, ada sign negative. So it means to say the more the student are absent for the class, the lower will be the Cgpa. That's a negative relation, but a negative relationship, but the strength is actually very strong as well. Very strong. So any very simple analysis that anybody can do. Okay. So at when you're doing a quantitative, okay, these are the simple tests that you can do actually. I don't know whether there are any undergraduate student here. I think there are. So these are the things that you can do for your undergraduate final year project, okay? Or even if you're doing a master's, it can be actually like a starting point for subsequent analysis. Okay, now I'm going to go into the next step, which is actually the same one, but I'm going to go a bit deeper. I'm going to go into what is known as a regression. Okay. Okay, so the regression is actually very good in the sense that it's a bit more advanced, yeah? So what you can do, you go to analyze and then you go to regression over here. So you see the word linear, ada nampak linear kan? Do you see that? Okay, what is your dependent and independent variable now? What is your dependent variable? Which one are we going to put independent and independent? Anybody? What is your dependent?
Cgpa.
Okay, I'm going to click Cgpa inside here and then my independent will be this one, this two. I'm going to put into independent, that's all. Okay, so actually itu sajalah, dah cukup dah, tak payah buat benda lain lah. So we're going to go into, okay, just see what result do you get. Here you are, look at this, interesting. So look at this, a very simple analysis that you have done. Yeah, simple analysis where you have your dependent variable is your Cgpa and your independent variable you have two just now. One is number of hours you spend on revision, first one, and the second one you have number of days that the student is absent for class. So only those two variables. If you look at the result here, you look at the model summary. Ada nampak kan model summary? Do you see the model summary?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You have to give me some feedback, yeah? Okay, model summary, just look at the value adjusted R square. It's 0.970. It's actually excellent. Okay, when you have your absence, number of days the student absent and time spent on revision, your value, adjusted R square value is 97%. Means to say these two variable, your independent variables, absence and time, can actually predict like 97% of the variation in your CGPA. 97% of the variation in CGPA can be predicted by these two variables. That's what it means. And then you go to ANOVA, the subsequent table, you look at the F value, it's 114.282. It shows that it's significant, means the model is useful. This is just a simple model I'm showing you. You can learn on your own later. Okay, there are a lot of things to learn. And then you go to the third table, which is actually coefficient. Okay, the coefficient table, look at that. So very interesting. You look at the unstandardized coefficient here, it gives you a beta value of 0.119. What does that indicate? Again, you can see a positive sign there for time. Means to say, the more the student spend time on revision, the better will be their CGPA. So the same result that you obtain in your Pearson correlation reappears here, appears again here. Okay, and then you look at absence here, absence, it shows a negative sign again, the same result that you obtained earlier. So absence shows a negative sign, and these two values are found to be significant. Time is significant, okay, this coefficient is significant at 0.017 is actually good, below 5%, and then absence is significant at 1%. Okay. Boleh ya? Okay, let me just take a break for a while.
Ya, silakan doktor.
Saya dah penat bercakap dah.
Ya, silakan doktor. Memang
Okay.
tak berhenti.
1 minute Give me a time to sip water a bit.
Silakan.
Ada yang kat tangan tu Ju.
Siapa tu?
Ya. Mungkin dalam beberapa sesi question and answer nanti ke, ataupun doktor nak accept sekarang soalan daripada
Boleh tanya sekarang, boleh. Boleh.
masa yang bertanya doktor kan?
Siapa yang tanya tu?
Daripada pelajar-pelajar kita kebanyakan. Dan ada juga
Pelajar dari mana?
pelajar-pelajar kita dan juga pusat-pusat daripada Ipg kampus-kampus yang menyertai kita lah. Kita ada dari seluruh Malaysia.
Wow, seluruh Malaysia.
Dari dekan, dari Sabah.
Saya dah jadi superstar hari ni ya.
Dalam YouTube lah.
YouTube punya superstar. Puan
Doktor
Wak Chuwok, ada soalan tak Puan Wak? Puan Wak Chuwok, ada soalan? Puan Wak? Puan Nur Aniza Zainal, ada soalan? Sorry ya, macam ni saya mengajar kat UM. Ya? Belum lagi? Belum lagi?
Setakat sekarang jelas.
Okey. Puan Vijayalakshmi, ada soalan nak tanya?
Mungkin ada beberapa soalan doktor daripada student.
Boleh nak bagi sekarang?
Kalau doktor boleh accept.
Boleh. Kita cuba dulu. Saya cuba yang mana saya boleh jawab lah. Apa soalannya?
Soalannya berbunyi, bolehkah dijelaskan antara kesahan dan kepercayaan penyelidikan kualitatif dengan kuantitatif?
Nanti. Itu ada kat belakang sekali.
Oh, belakang.
Tunggu kejap. Nanti saya tunjuk macam mana nak buat. I don't know dalam bahasa Melayu perkataan tu, I think I would use the English word which is validity and reliability. Yeah, I'll go into that. I have one final slide on that because Puan Juwairiyah cakap hari tu dengan saya nak tahu tentang tu kan, validity and reliability. I'll do that in a while. Ya. Saya akan tunjukkan macam mana nak buat validity and reliability ya, gunakan SPSS sekejap lagi.
Okey. Dan soalan seterusnya doktor, adakah kajian kes perlu ada pemboleh ubah bersandar dan tidak bersandar? Maksudnya kalau kita buat kajian kes, itu kajian tinjauan. Dan
kajian tinjauan.
Ya, dalam kajian kes, perlu ada pemboleh ubah bersandar dan tidak bersandar. Sedangkan kita mengkaji kes, tentu.
Okey, kalau kajian kes ni dia pakai apa, kaedah apa ni? Lebih kualitatif ke?
Lebih kualitatif.
I think maybe you wouldn't you wouldn't really require that lah. Yeah.
Okay.
So dalam kajian kes pemboleh ubah bebas dan pemboleh ubah bersandar, normally in a quantitative
quantitative.
We want to see a causal, hubungan sebab akibat, apa yang menyebabkan apa tu. So in the example that I gave tadi, saya berikan contoh Cgpa dan juga bilangan jam yang digunakan untuk ulang kaji tu. So it's a causal relationship, okay? Causation. Whereas the case study, if the nature is more on exploratory, maybe you wouldn't really require that lah. Ya. Okay, misalnya saya katakan, saya nak kenal pasti macam ni. I want to just explore what causes teenagers to smoke. Causes. So apa cara yang saya boleh gunakan? I can actually use a factor analysis and just identify the causes. Why teenagers smoke? So there is no need for me to have I don't need a dependent variable. I can just use the independent variables and actually come up with the causes. Yeah. So saya ada satu slide on factor analysis, which I've one of the research that I did some time ago on tentang sebab-sebab orang Brunei datang membeli belah di Malaysia. Orang dari Brunei dia cross border untuk beli belah di Malaysia. Shopping, cross border shopping behavior of Bruneian, cross border shopping behavior of Bruneian in Malaysia. I did one study on that. So it's basically more of exploratory in nature. Yalah, especially in Miri, Puan Sarima, betul tu. Saya pergi ke Miri, saya pergi ke Limbang, saya kutip data di situ. Memang the result was really good and that was published in one journal, Journal Economy Malaysia, Malaysian Economic Journal, di UKM. That's quite some time ago. You can get hold of the paper. Okay, cross-border shopping behavior of Bruneian in Malaysia. Okay, ada lagi tak Puan Juhairia?
Satu lagi daripada student, adakah boleh kita gunakan lebih dari satu kaedah penyelidikan untuk sampling? Maksud kita guna rawak, kita guna strata kan dia. Maksudnya kita guna lebih daripada satu kaedah.
Okay, itu tak ada isu sebab kita sekarang, trend sekarang adalah penggunaan triangulation dalam research. Triangulation, I don't know how familiar you are with the word triangulation. Triangulasi dalam bahasa Melayu kot saya rasa, triangulation. So now you have different types of triangulation. The first one is actually what we call as data triangulation, data triangulation. Tadi bagi yang bertanya soalan tu lebih kepada data triangulation. So mungkin dia gunakan soal selidik untuk dapatkan data kuantitatif. Lepas tu dia gunakan pula personal interview, in-depth personal interview dapatkan data kualitatif. So data kualitatif itu dia punya tujuan untuk verify data kuantitatif. So memang boleh buat begitu. In fact, kita dah mula kaedah data triangulation. Among my students, I encourage them to go for data triangulation. Means you don't rely only on one type of data. Means kalau questionnaire, jangan questionnaire saja. Kita buat questionnaire, lepas tu you actually substantiate your research result from your questionnaire with data from personal interview. Masukkan interview juga untuk menyokong. So sometimes certain issues cannot be captured via questionnaire. So you will require additional method of data collection. For example, in-depth personal interview or key informant interview, or even looking at some records, ya. So itu yang kita panggil sebagai triangulation. So when you talk about triangulation, you've got either the first one adalah data triangulation, kita boleh guna data, Means kita gunakan, you use questionnaire plus your personal in-depth interview, or maybe you use content analysis, for example. That is data triangulation. And then you can also use method triangulation. Method, okay, itu satu lagi. Dan yang ketiga, kita boleh gunakan theory triangulation. Means you don't rely only on a single theory to basically do your study. You require multiple theories. Macam I have one PhD student actually use 3 different theories to study one issue. 3 different theories to study one issue. So we come to a point where a single theory is not able to explain a certain phenomena. So you require triangulation of theory. Boleh nampak Puan?
Boleh. Boleh.
So this is a very interesting book on triangulation. I can pass to Puan Juharia later, which you can actually send that book around. It's actually an e-book, actually available dalam online lah.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
I can pass it to Puan Juharia. You can just circulate. I think probably that's the thing that people want to do, triangulation.
Yes. Sebab soalan, Doktor, soalan lain banyak berkaitan dengan validity, dengan reliability, Doktor.
Nanti kita pergi lepas ni ya.
Okay,
I reserve at least 15 to 20 minutes for that in a while.
Alright. Okay.
Okay. So we continue. Let's continue ya. Okay, I go back to my presentation. Okay. So that is on apa tadi yang regression which I talked about. Okay, this one all I think I'm going to just skip. Okay, I'm going to go straight to this one called factor analysis. If you can see this, kejap ya, I share it. Do you see factor analysis? Nampak tak?
Nampak, Doktor, nampak.
Okay. So this is interesting. I'm going to share with you this one. Okay. Factor analysis. So basically factor analysis, I'll show you one paper which I published quite some time ago on factor analysis, and came out in Asia Pacific Education Review, but it's a co-authored paper. So basically, katakan tadi kita membincangkan tentang, saya katakan tentang factors why people do cross-border shopping. Katakan kat Miri dengan Limbang, orang Brunei selalu datang kan untuk shopping ke Miri dan Limbang. So, bila mereka datang, mengapa mereka datang? So, secara, you can just simply say that, oh, because of kadar pertukaran yang tinggi, high exchange rate kan?
Yeah, yeah.
For every one Brunei dollar, it's equivalent to 3 ringgit Malaysia. Okay? So, itu simply you can say, but how are you going to prove it statistically? So, we can actually do that proving statistically by using what is known as factor analysis. So what will happen, basically, we use this Likert scale punya rating. That Likert scale, you can use either 3, 5 or 7. But in this study, I actually use a 5-point Likert scale. So that 5-point Likert scale, you can see this is how it looks like. Okay, sekejap ya, I show you the questionnaire dulu. Ini, reasons for cross-border shopping, cross-border tourism in Limbang. So kita tanya soalan, and this is those days when I do, it's a manual way of doing questionnaire. Kita ada orang tick ya. So you got that Likert scale from 1 to 5, strongly disagree to strongly agree. So you got here the factors, product, services, specific attributes. Yang paling bawah tu adalah economic factors. Tak nampak tu economic factors. So that's where you have economic factors such as you got factors like kita katakan faktor seperti exchange rate is one of the factor. Okay, under that. Okay, and then you got services, wide choice of services, lower cost of services, better quality, value for money, good delivery, reliable, competent service provider. And I got attributes, comfortable shopping environment, self-contained store facilities, clean business premises, friendly sales personnel, easy communication, and then you got product, and then you got economic factors. You see, when you run through this whole thing through factor analysis, this is what we get. This is the actual result that you get from factor analysis. Look at this. What came up on top? Apa yang keluar paling atas adalah low exchange rate. So what basically the factor analysis does, you can throw in katakan 40-50 variable. Okay, 40 hingga 50 variable. The result, they will actually reduce it to like 8 relevant component here. Kalau kita lihat komponen 1, 2, ada 8 column here, right? Component column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, 6, 7, 8. So every column actually represent a new component. So how do you basically identify those components? Look at this here. You can do like the first column, you see, take the highest value in that row. When you take the highest value, you got here, say, low exchange rate, safe, no unwanted incidences, easy communication, and good road system. Itu empat actually can become one variable for you now. So you see, originally you throw in 40 or 50 items, but then what the computer does through the factor analysis, it reduces to like 8 or 10 manageable factors, yeah? 8 or 10 manageable factors. So look at this. The second one, second dimension, the highest in that row is actually comfortable shopping environment, clean business premises, and also friendly sales personnel. You see, these three variables are very closely related. Comfortable shopping environment, clean business premises, and friendly sales personnel. Okay, yeah? And then you got the third factor, fourth factor, fifth, sixth, 7, and 8. So what we do as a researcher, you create what is known as a surrogate variable. Through this factor analysis, it churns you out the result and you create that surrogate variable. So the first dimension or the first factor, I call it as low exchange rate. That's the easiest to do. Because you don't really see close correlation, but you can call it as low exchange rate because that emerges on top. And then the second one, you see comfortable shopping environment, clean business premises, friendly sales personnel. You can give them a new proxy. New proxy maksudnya a surrogate variable. Probably you can call it as a favorable shopping environment. Favorable shopping environment as a new variable that you are going to create. So this is what factor analysis does. Originally, you have a lot items like 40, 50. It reduces to 8 or 7 or 8. So I go back to the question just now. The student was asking. So in this case, you don't have a dependent variable. So more independent because you just want to do an exploratory study and you want to identify what are the factors that causes something. For example, I want to study about smoking behavior. If I want to study about smoking behavior among teenagers, I can come up with at least 40 or 50 items or 30 items, right? So then what the computer does when you use factor analysis, it actually reduces to 5, 6, 7, 8 factors that is really, really manageable. It will cluster them together, the most related or closely related variables or items, okay? Closely related items will be clustered together, and that's how you create your surrogate variable. Okay, ya? Boleh faham? Boleh faham tak?
Boleh doktor. Silakan.
Okay, apa yang saya nak buat? Saya nak tunjuk satu contoh factor analysis dahulu. Okay, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to show one example of factor analysis. Okay, before that, I'll show the paper dahulu lah. Kertas yang sudah ditulis itu. Okay, this is, I'm going to share with you this one, this paper. Look at this paper. Yeah. Okay, look at this. I'm going to share with you this paper. Saya tunjuk dulu paper dahulu lah. Paper here now. Alamak, tak ada pula. Sekejap, Oh gosh, I don't know why this paper not coming out. There it is. Boleh nampak ni? Hello?
Okay.
Ya, boleh.
Okay, this is actually an example of use of factor analysis in one of the research that we did. So this was published in 2010 and almost 11 years. And we got quite a lot of citation for this one, about 70 lebih already, 70 over citation. So I just want to show you this part here on factor analysis, how we did. Look at this. This is actually an example of factor analysis. Yeah. But that final year undergraduates perception of the integration of soft skill. This is actually a co-authored paper. So cuba tengok ni, when you get result from factor analysis, this is how you actually present your result. Yeah. So di sini kita ada the factor dimension. You see the word communication skill is the one we created. The one the computer generated, they clustered together are these variable. Yang saya highlight kan ni ada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 items that you created, it's actually clustered together and we created that surrogate variable called communication skills. Okay? Then if you look at the subsequent one, you have moral and professional ethics kat sini. So that clusters 1, 2, 3, 4 items. Entrepreneurial skills, that clusters together a few items, and then you got team working skills and leadership skills, as well as lifelong learning and information management skill. So ini so this all actually can be generated via SPSS, so I can show you now. I'm going to go into this. Okay, saya akan tunjukkan how do we do that. Let me go into this now. Okay, so saya akan ambil I'm going to take this data, one of my PhD students' data. Okay, do you see this data? Okay, so basically the title is on economic well-being. I'm just going to take out the economic well-being component, and social well-being. Okay, look at this. Do you see the data?
Can.
Okay. So I'm going to go into analyze. You see here it says dimension reduction factor. Nampak tak? Okay, I'm going to go into that dimension reduction factor. This is factor analysis. So I'm going to put in all my variable just now, the economic well-being tadi. So dia ada dua section, one on economic well-being and the other one is social well-being of a migrant worker, Bangladeshi migrant worker in construction sector. I'm going to put that in now. Okay, look at this, what's going to happen. Okay, ada 14 item kat sini Okay, so I'm going to go into this one. Descriptive. Just click on this one, KMO. Basically, this will tell you whether to go on or not, with the factor analysis. If you get anything above 0.7 is okay lah. 0.6, 0.7 means you can go on, Okay, I'm going to go into extraction. Okay, nothing much here unless you want a scree plot, you want to show that. Okay, and the rotation, I will always prefer to use this one, Verimax. Okay, and then options, sorted by size, continue, and then okay. Cuba tengok ni. Okay, I think it's in result, Yep. Okay, just look at the result now, the output, this one. Oh, it's there. Tengok ni. So this one, look at this, my KMO result is 0.671. Do you see this? Can you see KMO and Bartlett test?
Can.
It's very small, doctor.
Small.
Can.
Okay, sekejap, saya besarkan. Yeah. Oh gosh. I don't know how to enlarge this. I don't know how to enlarge this. Maybe you go closer to your desktop or laptop.
It's like glasses then.
Okay, cuba tengok di sini. So this is whatever the table that I showed earlier. It's all actually taken from here. Tengok sini. Total variance explained. Yeah. This is the one table they're going to use. This is the scree plot. Okay, I want to just highlight. Okay, the table that I showed just now, this is the one for that cross-border shopping. You see, kita ada 14 kan. Dari 14 ni, it has actually reduced to in only 5 components. You see, when you're talking about any macam you want to suggest something, you can't be talking about all the 14 variables or 14 items, yeah? It's too many. So what you can do, what the computer does, it just reduces that 14 item into 5 different factors. So look at this. We got happy with consumption 1, enough total income, and go with economic hardship, and society is simple for me. Okay, these are the economic well-being. So what we do, you have to actually create a surrogate variable based on these 4 items. These 4 items, 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the second factor, you have enough financial support during sickness, job security, and spending sufficiently. This one, enough financial support, job security, and spending sufficiently. I would call this as probably as a job security variable. So the economic well-being is that they feel that there is a job security, something like that. Okay. So instead of looking at 3 different items, so it is encapsulated in one single factor called job security. Okay. And then over here, maybe you can call it as happy with consumption or satisfied with consumption, satisfied with present consumption as your first factor. Second factor will be more on job security. Okay, let's go into third variable. Yeah, third factor. It says stress for financial security, compatible salary according to labor, and compatible salary according to skill. Maybe more on a compatibility lah. Compatibility, yeah, more of compatibility. Okay, something like that. So you see, what the factor analysis does is actually it reduces the original item, like 15 item, into 5 or 6 manageable item. Yeah. So kalau kita boleh buat something like this is actually very good already. Yeah. Okay, on factor analysis. So it just dependent on how you're going to report it lah. Reporting, basically you require this table, total variance explained, and then also rotated component metrics, and also finally you will do the reliability one lah. Reliability analysis. Okay, yeah. Okay. Ada soalan tak nak tanya before we go into that last part, which is your validity and reliability? Puan Juaria, any question?
So far dari student belum lagi, Doktor.
Belum. Okay, now give me 1 second, 1 minute. We'll go into validity and reliability. Yeah. Okay. Then we'll go for question and answer session. So I'm going to go into validity and reliability now. I'm going to go back to slide. Okay, now this is the last part that in fact my last slide, I think. Okay, ada 2 kat sini. Okay. Do you see this now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go into 2 types of two item under this, yeah, validity and reliability. The first one is actually reliability. Is what is meant by reliable is actually consistent finding. Even how many times you repeat, the result remains the same. That's what I mean, consistent finding when repeated. Okay, validity, you got different types of validity here. One is called construct validity, where research measures what it claims to measure. And then you got internal validity, causal, actually talks about causal relationship between 2 variables, and then external validity, whether findings can be generalized to other appropriate settings or groups. Okay, so I'm going to I'll start with validity first lah. Saya akan mulakan dengan validity dahulu. Okay, let's go into this. So I'll go back to my SPSS again and share the data. Let's go into that validity now. So I'll go into these data first. Okay. So this is an example of, this is one data that I have here. Yeah. So how do we do validity dahulu? Okay, I'm not going to go into the depth of validity. Of course, there are different types of validity. I'm just going to show you what general validity sahaja lah. Okay, so we go into this analyze. Okay, I'm going to create. I'm going to go into my correlation again, bivariate. Okay. I put this in all these variable that I have, the earlier variable, I've already take it out, the economic well-being variable just now. Okay. So I'm putting in all, okay, I'm putting in all. So look at this, when you do a validity test, actually it refers to your Pearson, yeah, you can actually use your Pearson test and you do your validity over there, yeah. Okay, so apa yang kita boleh buat, when you look at this result here, keluar dah. Sekejap, 1 minute. I'll go to the output. Okay, let's look at this result here. Okay, so this is what we get here. So when you look at the items here, do you see the items here that EW1 ada significant to tail? Right? Do you see this? So this is actually showing you of the validity of the item. Validity of the item, the individual item. So when you get a significant value over here, do you see this Pearson correlation, significance to tail, and then your N, which is your sample size. So basically your it starts from EW2 here. So what we are saying, when you get a value which is significant, you are saying that the item is actually a valid item. Okay, kalau kita lihat your EW2, EW3, EW8, 9, 10, all these are valid item. But if you look at 11 here, appears like it's not a valid item, because the reason being we got a value which is above 0.05. Okay, and then even your EW12, okay, and then even EW13, yeah, but the others all looks like most of it are valid, yeah. So this is one when you talk about validity. So this is more of the individual item validity. But when you go and if you say that you want to measure your construct validity, so construct validity, basically what we can do for construct validity, cuba lihat di sini ya. Hold on, okay. I'll go back to construct validity. Just now the earlier one was the individual item validity. Now I'll go into construct validity. Yeah, what is a construct validity? So construct validity, okay, say that you have one measure. For example, I want to talk about economic well-being. So you have 4 different smaller items under that. Okay, so what we do from that 4 smaller item, you can actually compute an average, and that average is the one that enters your analysis. Not that individual item, bukan 4 item tadi tu, that average that comprise of 4 smaller item will enter your analysis. So when you test for that, that's what we call as your construct validity, yeah. Okay, so kita cuba lihat construct validity now. How do we do with construct validity? I'm going to show you with the SPSS the same data as well, the earlier data. Can you see, is that the data? Are you seeing data? Hello? Do you see a data here?
Yes, Doctor.
Data, huh? Okay, now let me go into testing for construct validity. Yeah? Okay, so what we do, we take transform, go first to compute variable. Look at this. I'm going to just do this one. I'm going to show. Okay, assuming I'm going to the first construct 1 comprised of EW1, EW2, EW3, and EW4. So I'm going to create a CB1 here, construct validity 1, comprising 4 items here. I'm going to put EW1, okay, plus EW2 plus EW3 plus and EW4. Okay, never mind. Make it 5 lah. Okay, assuming there are 5 items in for this particular construct. I'm going to put a bracket here. I'm going to count it as a mean now. Divided by, got 5 items, right? So I'm going to put it as 5 here. Okay, this is my construct validity for item 1. That item 1 I have economic well-being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lah, divided. So I'm taking it as an average. So let's see what happens. Okay. So you see what happens here. It creates okay. So cuba tengok di sini. This is your CB1, this column here. This is the mean. Yang CB ni bukan tu. This one I just total it up. It's just a total. Okay, this is the one. This will be your construct validity here. This will be your construct validity value. Okay. So macam mana kita nak gunakan itu dalam analysis? Look at this. I go back to my correlation again. Okay. I'm going to take out this CV1 and I'm going to put CV1 here. Okay, let's rerun again. See what happens. Do you see something here? Can you see the table of correlation now? Do you see that table?
Yeah, we can.
You see that table, correlation result? Hello?
Yes.
Do you see that CV1 value?
Yeah,
Oh,
we can
sorry.
see it's really small.
Huh?
It's really small.
It's small, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how to enlarge this. But look at this, the value CV1, your construct validity 1 for the 5 items that you did just now, yeah? 5 items, actually it should be 5 items, sorry. Let me just take out first, hold on, sekejap. It's too small. 1 minute, Okay, go back here. Yeah. Okay, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I put all in already. Sorry. Need to take out this, take out, take out, take out, take out, take out. Just going to maintain that 1 to 5 only, yang lain tak mau. Okay, this one only. Okay, do you see this new result here? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, look at that. Your CB1, basically, this is your construct validity, construct validity. So which we use it as a mean just now. So basically, you get a significant value. What we are saying that, there is a construct validity for that item, your CB1 though, construct validity, That particular construct, it's a valid construct. That's what it means when you get a significant value. But you don't get means it's not a valid construct. That's what it means. So this is on validity. That's one. And then the second one, what you can do is actually going into what is known as reliability. So for reliability, what we do, so you go into scale, reliability analysis. Look at this. I can just do the same thing here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. fact, I can put all, overall reliability. I can compute the overall reliability. Okay, just as a whole, you can try first. Okay, just look at this. So you see the reliability is actually not so good. It's 0.406. It's quite bad actually. Okay, so when you do a reliability analysis, it should be like something like above 0.7 at least. We have a value which is above 0.7, then you call it as your data that you actually collected is a reliable data. It's a reliable data. Yeah. But in this case, obviously, it looks as though like it's not really so reliable because you got a value which is below 0.7. So that's one way of doing it, overall reliability. But you can also do individual reliability. For example, individual reliability basically means like for factor analysis, okay, you can do a reliability test as well. So let me show that one, the last part. I'll go to that paper again, this paper. Sekejap ya. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go into... Okay, let's go into this again, the paper just now. Okay, look at this. Look at the last column here. Do you see the paper? One paper, Cronbach alpha over here.
Can.
Okay. So now look at this. This Cronbach alpha, what we did, instead of doing overall reliability, when you perform your factor analysis, you go by this one, like this. This particular factor, communication skill, for example, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This 11 item, you put it in reliability just now, reliability analysis, and create communication skill is actually this one only. Wide use of English, instructor competent, opportunities for in-class presentation, and sufficient interactive session in lecture. So when you put these 4 variable in, you get a Cronbach alpha value of 0.738. Okay, the second one, critical thinking and problem solving skills. You have all the sub item is receive critical feedback, given reflective thought, provoking writing assignment, given problem-based task, instructor provided, instructor integrated, theory with practice. So ini semua generates you a Cronbach alpha value of 0.796. These are actually factor analysis. You can also do a reliability test. That's another way of doing it. Okay, boleh dapat ya? So there are 2 things. One is validity, the one we said we shared earlier. There are 2 different types of validity. It can be overall validity and also construct validity. Yeah, that's one. And then of course you got another one which is your reliability. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. I go back to the slide now. So I go back to this. So there are 2 things. One is reliability. It's consistent finding when repeated, and also your validity, which is actually your overall validity as well as construct validity. Okay. So I think you all, since you all will use a lot of questionnaire in your school, so I think the construct validity will be much more relevant, for you. Construct validity. So what is construct validity? Is actually you got a construct with a lot of sub items, and basically you test for that. So basically you get the result, the overall result. That's where it shows you whether the construct that you have actually developed is valid or not. Okay. So I think that's all I want to go touch on today. Yeah. Okay. So let me go back to. Okay. Now, Puan Juhairia.
Ya, saya.
Pass back to you. Maybe you want to moderate questions.
Okey doktor, saya rasa sebab setakat ni soalan-soalan yang diberikan ni sudah terjawab doktor oleh doktor tadi. Banyak yang tanya berkenaan dengan validity dan reliability, dan penerangan doktor pun sangat jelas. Rasanya mereka pun sudah terjawab semua soalan-soalan tersebut doktor.
Oh, good. Okay,
Ataupun
glad to hear that.
ataupun mungkin ada dari pensyarah-pensyarah.
Maybe the lecturers want to ask. I think Puan Tarshini got something to ask.
Yes, silakan.
Thiru, I'm actually doing a research proposal on my PhD. So
Yeah,
I'm just doubtful in terms of the methodology.
yeah.
Do you have to have, like, in terms of reference or citation saying that in terms of the sampling? So for example, if I'm going to choose 30 sample, do I need to have a citation why I'm taking 30?
I think, okay, what are you going to use? Is it a qualitative approach or quantitative first?
Well, basically, I'm actually doing DDR. So
What is that?
design DDR. So it's a design and development research.
Oh, okay,
So
it's very much educational.
Yeah. So I was thinking of, you have to justify in each
Yes.
phase what you're going to do.
Yes, normally it's good for you to basically do what we call as literature review. So yours involves methodology section. That methodologically you can see what other people has done, and then you say that I use this as a base for my section of analysis. Maybe a lot of people just took that same size, and it gives you a justification why you want to take 30. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do a methodology literature review. Of course, there's something that's very, very encouraging. In fact, my PhD student also, I didn't even tell him. When I look at him, he did that methodology. Yeah, he said A did this much, sample size 200, 300, 100, 200, and he said this is what I'm taking. Okay, and of course, when you're talking about quantitative, you can always go to that Krejci and Morgan table 1970. I think, yeah. So go back and you can actually use that as your reference. Yeah, it's always good to put that literature review for methodology as well. It's always
But in terms of the methodological section of it, do I need to actually have an in-text citation of, okay, I'm taking so-and-so sample, so
Yes,
according to
yes.
so-and-so, so that's going to be more stronger, right?
Yes, definitely, yeah. Because this is an academic, yours is an academic work, so the best is of course coming up with this proper citation lah. It's going to be very important academic work. Where are you doing your PhD? UM?
No. I'm not actually doing. I'm actually preparing just in case if I'm selected for it.
Okay.
I'm based in. I'm in JPN, so I'm based in Perak. So JPN Perak. So,
Okay.
Another question, Doctor. I'm actually quite confused with the data collection and the data analysis. So, for example, in terms of data collection for questionnaire, so the analysis has to be SPSS, isn't it?
No. SPSS is just a statistical tool. It can be anything. You can use other software like Stata or eViews. It's nothing much. It's just a statistical software that actually helps you to do the analysis. It's just that, yeah. But more important thing is actually your tool or the instrument that you develop for data collection. For example, if you're developing a questionnaire, you must have certain sample size in order to enable you to do an analysis. For example, just now I was telling you about factor analysis. It says the best ratio is for every single item that you have, you must have three respondents. For example, if you have, say, the smaller item, sub-item, you have 40 means you must have at least times 320 respondents to answer that question. Then only you get a very reliable and valid result. If you get a smaller one, then you won't really get a valid and reliable result. Something like that. Yeah, that is on instrument. Okay, and then if you go further, you go to analysis. So analysis, when you have a questionnaire, you tend to do a quantitative analysis. Quantitative, when you have a questionnaire, because it gives you number and you do a quantitative analysis. When you do a quantitative analysis, you can actually do a lot of testing of hypothesis. you can test various hypotheses, because I know in education hypothesis is actually very, very important, and you can test a lot of hypotheses when you have a quantitative data. Whereas when you have a qualitative data, I'm a bit skeptical whether you can do a hypothesis testing. Yeah, say like you got 12 or 15 or 20 people as your informant. Yeah, so it's always good to, if we are using a quantitative, it's always good to test some hypothesis lah. Huh? Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? Any question?
Silakan pensyarah-pensyarah, cikgu-cikgu. Kita bersiaran satu Malaysia ya Doktor, melalui Google Meet. Kita ada lebih kurang tadi mencapai maksimal 100 dan dalam YouTube streaming lebih kurang 300. So, kita ada lebih maksimal 400 lah peserta kita pada hari ini Doktor.
Saya jadi superstar hari ini.
Jadi tapi penerangan Doktor sangat jelas. Mungkin sudah terjawab soalan-soalan yang
Puan Fatimah ada soalan tu, Puan Fatimah Bibi.
silakan.
Ada soalan ke Puan Fatimah?
Okay, Doctor, your explanation was excellent. And I knew that you are a quantitative person, not a qualitative.
I am very, very quantitative. Yes.
So maybe the terms and everything we have to brush up, and now I got the idea that when we do something we have to use mixed method, then our research will be valid. Is it so, Prof?
Mixed method, it's all dependent on how you want to basically execute your study. Yeah, but now I've seen a lot of students in our faculty here, they tend to go for mixed method because normally one single method can't really do that what you call that, you can't really corroborate your research result. Yeah, so when I do just quantitative alone, there are a lot of gaps that cannot be filled in. So when you do a personal in-depth interview, in-depth interview, key informant interview, you fill all the gaps which cannot be captured via quantitative. Your data cannot capture. So you put in qualitative. I just tell you, one student of mine basically did a study on internship. So basically she used a quantitative, but then I said, a lot of gaps there, and we went to the report given by employer. Employer's report. Macam kita ada report penilaian penyelia lah, something like that. And I said, pick up that report and try to fill those gaps lah. So that's when you are combining actually quantitative with qualitative. You got a report to actually substantiate your research result from your quantitative, because ada banyak sangat gap. And it strengthens your finding, strengthens your finding. So it's some sort like it's getting more and familiar, the usage of mixed method. Becoming more familiar among people lah.
True.
Combining quanti and quali.
Thanks, Prof.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yes, Mr. Chu, thank you very much, Mr. Chu or Miss Chu. Terima kasih ya. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Doktor, mungkin ada satu permohonan mungkin untuk link untuk e-book for triangulasi.
Boleh, Puan. Saya kongsi dengan Puan, boleh tak Puan?
Alright, nanti saya
pass around that book that I see. That's another thing, triangulation. I think you all should learn what triangulation is, triangulasi tu. Kalau boleh belajar, I'll pass the book to Puan Juhairia via email and she can just distribute it around.
Boleh.
Okay, thanks Puan Sarima. I've learned a lot today, she said. Thanks, terima kasih. Sama-sama.
Kita juga dapat banyak ucapan tahniah dan terima kasih daripada Facebook, YouTube di sini, YouTube live streaming. Terima kasih banyak pada doktor, pada Sosial Ilmu yang sangat bermanfaat inilah doktor. Selama 2 jam solid tanpa
Yes, Dr. Roslan, terima kasih sama-sama. Dr. Roslan cakap terima kasih. So banyak yang ada PhD ya dekat IP Maktab ya. A lot of people with PhD.
InsyaAllah. Tapi kita sesi pengusian ilmu doktor, mungkin knowledge kita boleh dikongsi bersama.
Ya, boleh. Saya pun I'm upgrading myself from time to time. Just recently I learned quantile regression, satu lagi kaedah analisis data lah. Baru saya belajar benda tu. So benda-benda baru lah kita kena belajar. Kalau jadi academician ni kena belajar benda baru. Tak boleh duduk dengan apa yang kita ada macam beberapa tahun lepas kan. Ya. Ya.
Okey. So doktor, kita mungkin ada
saya nak
Puan Roslina. Yes.
Okey doktor, kalau boleh sebab kita ada bersama pelajar-pelajar. Kalau
boleh tak kurang sikit. Saya tak berapa dengar lah Puan Roslina.
Okey, kalau doktor boleh tolong terangkan, kita bersama pelajar-pelajar kan.
Ya.
Pelajar-pelajar ni kadang-kadang dia keliru di antara metod kuali dan kuanti. Kalau doktor boleh jelaskan tentang instrumen kuali dan kuanti ni?
Boleh Puan. Boleh. Okay, so kalau kuantitatif normally kalau kuantitatif kita ada angka kan. Dia ada angka lah, number, data. Okay, it gives you, it has a lot of number in it. So itu kuantitatif. Tapi kalau kualitatif, dia lebih berbentuk kepada pernyataan lah. So dalam kita membuat pengumpulan data, method of data collection when you collect your data, for example, when you use a questionnaire actually gives you a quantitative data quantitative. You can actually quantify a lot of things. Maksud quantify di sini actually you can actually give value to it or give number to it lah, something like that. Macam saya katakan, mungkin if I want to ask pendapatan, it's a number, right? Berapa pendapatan bulanan anda? So that is actually a quantitative data which can actually be used towards your quantitative analysis. Say that you want to correlate your household income with education. Normally kita akan ada hubungan yang positif antara tahap pendidikan dan juga tahap pendapatan So that can be an example of a quantitative analysis where you can actually gather that information or data through the use of questionnaire. Kalau kualitatif pula, kita akan gunakan kaedah lain seperti observation, pemerhatian. So you want to see how your subject behave. For example, you want to study about a child behavior, how a child who is 5-year-old behaves. So you can't be asking questionnaire tak boleh bagilah kan. So kita kena tengok dia punya behavior. You have to look at the behavior of the student, how the child behaves. So that is more on observation and that is going to give you a qualitative data. Data yang berbentuk kualitatif. Begitu juga kalau kita nak interview someone, katakan pembantu rumah asing. Kita nak tanya dengan dia tentang pengalaman di Malaysia misalnya. So itu kita akan lakukan melalui temu bual bersemuka. So itu juga akan memberikan kita data berbentuk kualitatif. So apa yang kita boleh buat apabila tiba kepada analisis, apa yang kita boleh gunakan? Kita boleh gunakan kaedah Thematic Analysis. Kita gunakan team. Mungkin kita nampak ada perkara-perkara unik yang dikongsikan oleh pembantu rumah asing. Mungkin dia menceritakan tentang abuse misalnya. So katakan kita ada 10 orang pembantu rumah asing yang kita interview. Okay, at least 8 or 9 of them say that they have been abused. So you want to pick up that team from the research result. Daripada personal interview, you pick up that particular team. Tema dia adalah abuse. So when you are writing that section on, you want to talk about abuse, you just report these are the result that you get and what you as a researcher can actually gather from whatever info or data that you have collected. So that will give you a qualitative data, which is actually a qualitative analysis. Qualitative data, qualitative analysis. But now, Puan Roslina, what we are talking about is actually a mixture of dua benda ni. Di mana kita gabungkan kuali dengan kuanti serentak sekarang. So sebab kadang-kadang apa yang kelemahan kita dapati, kuantitatif sahaja tidak memadai untuk menjelaskan sesuatu fenomena. Okay? Kuantitatif sahaja sukar untuk menjelaskan sesuatu fenomena. Jadi kita masukkan elemen kualitatif iaitu personal interview, maybe observation, maybe content analysis. Kita masukkan dalam dapatan kuantitatif itu dan dia menjadikan hasil penemuan kajian kita becomes much stronger. Much stronger. Itu Puan Roslina, harap saya dah jawab ya Puan Roslina.
Okey, terima kasih doktor. Macam mana pula kalau kajian tindakan doktor? Boleh sentuh sikit?
Oh, kajian tindakan. Oh, that one is more on education. I wouldn't really know much about that one because I'm more into quanti, and I don't know what is tindakan. I'm so sorry. I can't really help that. Yeah? Because bukan sangat, saya tak buat kajian yang, because this education, isn't it, when you say kajian tindakan, ya?
Satu lagi doktor,
Ah.
tentang pembentukan doktor ya. Kalau boleh doktor terangkan sedikit untuk bagaimana untuk membentuk kuesioner.
Macam mana nak bentuk?
Soal selidik.
Ya, okey.
Cara pembentukan soal selidik. Boleh terangkan?
Okey, kalau nak buat soal selidik bukan boleh buat sembarangan. Okey, pertama sekali itu tujuan dia kita buat literature review. When you start doing a literature review, normally the literature will highlight what are the variables. Okay, what are the variables? What are the variables yang yang akan disentuh oleh pengkaji terdahulu. So apabila kita buat kajian terdahulu or literature review, you can actually identify what variable that you can include in your questionnaire. So that's why it's very important for us to do a substantial literature review untuk identify the variables. So lepas tu baru boleh kita design the questionnaire. Okay, and then while even designing questionnaire also, even before you do the actual fieldwork, the best is do your pilot first. Pilot study, when you do, basically you will know whether that question is, whether it's understandable, whether it has any problem or whatever. Sometimes, because when student design questionnaire, they tend to have like very vague question, soalan yang kabur ataupun kita katakan double barrel question. They ask two question in one, two question termasuk dalam satu ayat tu. So dia akan menjejaskan keupayaan kita punya responden atau informant untuk menjawab. So that's why it's also after you design your questionnaire, so do a pilot test. And then after you do a pilot test with a smaller sample size like 10-15 people, and then you come back and you can actually do the correction. You say, the respondents don't understand this question, so I'm going to basically tweak it. Saya akan ubah suai atau baiki sikit so that the respondents understand better. So these are the benda lah puan yang yang boleh kita take into this thing lah when designing questionnaire lah. Yeah.
Okay, terima kasih.
Okay, ada lagi tak?
Good afternoon, Doctor. Just one question. I am Dr. Tusha from Ipg KBM. I am very much a content analysis person. So I was told that usually content analysis is, of course it's qualitative. But when we are using percentages, because that's what we look into, what does it become? When does it become a mixed method?
Okay, mixed method. Okay, mixed method is actually when you combine both quali and quanti. So your content analysis should come under qualitative. Okay?
Qualitative.
Yes. Yeah, content analysis is qualitative. So you combine that with another quantitative method. For example, questionnaire, when you combine that, so that it becomes a mixed method actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we are just talking about percentages, like, usually when you do content analysis, especially for literature, you look at certain themes. So it becomes, although it involves, usually we do percentage counts only. So it's purely qualitative, right, Doctor?
Yes. But I don't know, when you say content analysis, the resources that you refer to, is it a lot or few? That's another thing that we need to ask, whether you are a substantial content analysis or you do look at 5-6 sources and then you do a content analysis. And probably in terms of, I think the reliability of the result is a bit questionable. It's not the content analysis per se, but probably the number of sources that you refer to. Okay.
Okay.
So what I can do, we got someone who can do content analysis. I got super people who can actually contribute towards content analysis. Puan Juwairah, kalau Puan Juwairah berminat nak kendalikan satu sesi content analysis sahaja pun kita boleh tolong ya. Saya boleh
sangat berminat.
seorang speaker like these 2 hours of what we call as discourse. It will be very useful especially for people like Dr. Tusha because boleh ya, kita ada orang yang
boleh.
Yes, no issue Puan.
Memang kami sangat berminat lah doktor untuk
boleh. Kena buat MOU pula lepas ni ya dengan
doktor.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay. Kena buat MOU Puan Juharia.
Of course.
Gerak boleh buat dapat free macam ni. Apa? Kita tolong, sama-sama tolong
Okay, nampaknya doktor semua sudah clear
Okay Puan. Okay Puan, macam saya cakap tadi, kalau you need anyone to share on content analysis, I can get one of my colleagues, very good in content analysis. Boleh ya, about 2 jam gitu boleh lah.
Isi yang seterusnya doktor. Baik.
Okay Puan.
Okay, ada Puan Vijay. Baik, mungkin rasanya
Puan Sarima Awang cakap, I would love to learn about content analysis. No issue, we'll arrange for that Puan Juharia nanti ya.
Of course. Okay. Baik, nampaknya kita sampai ke penghujung doktor. Dengan itu saya Juharia Marjanet, Ketua Unit Hubungan Luar dan Antarabangsa, mewakili Puan Hajah Nur Asyidah binti Osman, Dr. Nirwana Muhammad Rashid Timbalan Utara, Dr. Roslina Suratnu, Ketua Jabatan Perancangan, Penyelidikan dan Inovasi Ipg Kampus Bahasa Melayu, para pensyarah, para pelajar di Ipg KBM dan di luar Ipg KBM dan seluruh warga KBM yang mana menyertai program kita pagi ini, merakamkan setinggi-tinggi terima kasih Dr. Tiru yang memberikan kita ilmu yang sangat bermanfaat dan sangat berfaedah ini dalam bidang penyelidikan. Harapan kita semua semoga sesi perkongsian ilmu ini dapat kita teruskan dan seperti yang kita tadi dapat kita teruskan buat untuk masa hadapan demi kecemerlangan warga kita dan PT kita. Oleh itu, doktor, sekali lagi saya rasa ucapan terima kasih dan hingga kita berjumpa lagi doktor dan para peserta semua. Terima kasih.
Sama-sama, saya terima ucapan terima kasih dengan penuh rasa sukacita.
Terima kasih doktor. Terima kasih.
Okay Puan. Okay,
thank you Prof.
Okay Puan Fatimah, see you around. Come to UM and do PhD ya. Siapa nak buat?
Sure, I'll come and see you.
Okay, thank you Prof. Thank you.
Okay, Puan. Boleh saya keluar Puan?
Silakan, terima kasih banyak.
Jumpa lagi, bye.
Terima kasih doktor.
Terima kasih Kak Ju.
Terima kasih semua, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Kak Ju, terima kasih Dr. Ros, terima kasih kawan-kawan.
Terima kasih. Nanti kita
Terima kasih penganjur.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Ju.
Terima kasih.
Penganjur.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Kak Jo.
Terima kasih. Jumpa lagi.
Terima kasih Kak Ju.
Tahniah Kak Jo.
Tahniah semua. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Puan Juharia.
Terima kasih. Jumpa lagi. Terima kasih juga yang tidak tinggal kepada pihak multimedia kita yang telah beroperasi dengan YouTube Live dari mula sehingga ke akhir. Terima kasih diucapkan kepada semua yang terlibat. Mohon pelajar semua isi kehadiran ya dalam kehadiran YouTube.
என்ன குடிச்சிட்டு இருந்தியா?